Hey, how's it going, everyone? How's it going? Back again. You see at the bottom of the screen, the Phoenix life. Yes, hardworking men will survive from the ashes of scorched earth and shall continue to rise and shall forge things, even from all of this multi uh, multitudes of manipulations and stipulations and requirements of this type of world. There's a song, I forget who sings the song, but the song says as such, it says, I've tried so hard. Excuse me, the song says, I've tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. Just to give y'all a synopsis of that. I mean, yeah, think about it. Tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. That's pretty much the ways of the working man in these times. And what I mean by this is not anything sad. What I mean is the working man shall survive because in the end, it doesn't even matter. Because to those that worked so hard and got so far, I mean, these are people wanting to move up the ladder in life. These are people that wanted to be the first of everything, keeping it up with the Joneses, all of that stuff, and all that in the end doesn't even matter. This is why the working man will survive because you know, you really just have to do enough to make sure that you do survive in this world. And in the end, it doesn't even matter because everything that everybody is doing to show off, a lot of that is changing as time goes on. Unless you start a business or you have a steady trade, you will not survive in the times to come. So the working men that do, continue on with the way that they do things in life and even try to better yourself in your work, in your craft, in your craftsmanship, or depending on if you're like a blacksmith, because yes, blacksmiths still exist. You shall survive. So, all that to say for all the blue collar people out there, because this there's a hashtag in this live stream, and it's blue collar. Okay, basically, just keep doing what you do. You have all these talks about high value man. You have these talks about certain expectations you need to have as a man in order to keep a woman in your life and in order to bring a woman in your life. No, work on just making sure that you're taken care of, and then a special woman in your life will want to be a part of that. She ain't gonna look at what you have more so than who you are. You know, that's what you want. This is why hardworking men shall survive. Because right now we see that this idea of a working man per se is taking a back seat because most people now think of working hard. They don't think of it actually as a working man that's working, right? They see working hard as someone that's finding a way to move up the ladder of success. That's the new definition of working hard these days. Whereas a working man, a true blue collar man, has worked so hard, he's figuring out ways to actually work smart and not hard. So notice that's why you see in this live stream, working men will survive. It doesn't say hard working men will survive. Because, like I said, you try so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. But the working man has worked so hard, he's figured out a way to try to work a little smarter in the future, much smarter in the future, as a matter of fact. Um, we're just living in times where, we are far removed from what used to be when there used to be this man that worked at the sweat of his brow and his fingertips were black, pitch black, because he was working underneath a car or working at a mine, or even let's say he was a garbage truck guy, hands getting dirty. I mean, if you have a sweaty shirt, sweaty blue collar, maybe you were like a bus driver or something. I don't know. Maybe you worked in the ambulance field. That's blue collar, actually, just things like that where you're not quite what they would call the high value man type, even though, yeah, you can get a semi truck operator, one of them, they can make over $100,000 a year. And I guess they're not considered high value people because they operate semis. These are working class people, working people. Working men, working class men will survive. They will be the new forefront, the new frontier, because what will be left of a civilization whose technology shall fail before them. We don't see this as what's happening before us, even as we see the dollar falling off. That's not just really the dollar falling off, that's the technology falling off. What we're seeing is not the American dollar falling off, we're seeing the technology of American falling off. The dollar just represents that technology. Okay. All this is based on tech. It's not really based on technicalities of a salary. Like it's based on more or less all this was supposed to have been connected. That's why it's called a note. Eventually, it would become a footnote, a digital footnote. So everything that has been circulated through paper at one point in time, there have been notes taken of that circulation to where it now can be transferred to an algorithm, and it'll pick up a backlog of memories of how many transactions, the different type of transactions that's taken place. But in this internet space, especially in America, a lot of the cybernetic systems have taken a crash and has been hacked by foreign hackers from other parts of the world. I mean, we even look at the fact now with China owning TikTok, right? So not to get more into that aspect, but I'm just saying everything about what is America versus what is China, what is India, what is Russia, German, uh, uh, Filipino, you name it. Everything that is America compared to those other places pales in comparison, right? Because it's like it's falling, you know. But what has been the backbone of America has been the working man. So it took men to build this over here. It's going to take men to rebuild. Working men, men that actually had to get out there with the muscles and do something, not just right now where they have to get out with the muscles, but they're constantly getting injured on the job because the job is just repetitious. The job is not really about him building anything. I mean, yeah, there's infrastructures, there's roads, but it's more so maintaining an existing infrastructure. How about make roads to where you don't have to do so much to maintain them? How about build something that doesn't require that much maintenance? That doesn't require that much maintenance as decades go by. See, working men that get a chance to work, that really can get a chance to put their 2 cents in a situation, will love to build something that can last. Okay. So that's kind of the future is about with working man will survive, because a working man will actually finally be able to get his 2 cents in, not only towards this society, but also even in relationships and marriages. Finally, a working man can have the say so, not necessarily the last say per se. What I mean by that is a working man ain't necessarily trying to have the last say. I get it. He the man, and yeah, he going to be the man in the house. He going to say what he say. We get that. But, humbly speaking, working man just wants to have a say so. He wants to have a say so. He incorporates where his family is coming from, and he has his opinions on, the way things should be going forward. A man's voice has been lost in the household. That's basically my whole point. Forget him even having something last to say. A man's voice is lost in the household in these times. He really has nothing to say. He's not allowed to say anything without, an argument starting, or without, truly the household dividing itself based on, some things he pinpointed. Working men will survive because now his point of view will matter, as time goes on. His working hands will matter. So I'd say, fellas, if you're out here working, find ways to work smarter, not harder. Get yourself back in shape, get yourself healthier. Look at yourself in the mirror. I'm not saying you got to look like a bodybuilder, but if your body isn't even half the shape of what it would look like if you were in shape, then I believe you're at the wrong job, or you're working too hard. You have to really be doing something that's going to allow you to get in the proper shape that you need to be in as a man, because you're working a certain way as a blue collar man. You have to work, and you have to also be able to take care of your family. You have to be able to do all of that, right? As a man. So you can't be around things, let alone people, that limit you from being all that you could be in this world as a man, right? So that's something that I've come to realize as time goes on, and I'm getting better at it. As you see at the bottom left screen, the Phoenix life, because you come out of a place of where you didn't know what it was like to get better, and now you do. But unfortunately, that means a lot of things and a lot of people around you will wither in your wake. As you rise from the scorched earth, a lot of people around you will burn. in their own way. Whether they burn themselves from you, they just burn off, they fade away, they cut themselves off from you, or they walk away. But you, while rising out of these ashes, the people that love you are during those ashes with you. Okay, keep that in mind. So I'm not trying to really sound negative right now with this live stream. Working men will survive. The people that love you, they not only will be with you in those ashes with you, they don't want you to give up. Excuse me. Yeah, they don't want you to give up. They don't want you to give up. They're there in those ashes with you. They're not there to try to just burn off or cut themselves off from you. The people that love you, these are the people that love you. They're there with you. Okay, they will support the working man. They will make sure that he has his lunch. They will make sure that he has his rest. They will make sure that he has his happiness, his sanctity, his sanity to be able to go out there and do what he does. A lot of people don't realize, like, when a working man dies, when he dies, that's a big void for a family, especially if he died prematurely. Now, who's going to pick up the slack? Who's going to fix this part of the house? Who's going to cut this yard? Who's going to make sure all the cars are fixed? Who's going to clean up the house a certain way? Who's going to cook a certain way? This man did that. This man loved that woman a certain way. He's not around no more. Who's going to love her the way he did? She knows there's ain't going to be no other man that loved her the way he did. It's just a lot of things lost, but we don't think about this. People that walk away don't think about this either. They think that there's better. And it's like, well, I don't understand this. That if you thought that there was something better, why did you incorporate yourself around that particular man? Right? Like, we need to stop wasting people's time. Working men will survive because they've never been about wasting time. They've just been buying their time. Okay. Sometimes a working man has to work on having side hobbies while he's buying his time in the midst of this chaotic scorched earth that is developing before our eyes. Y'all see that what Title 42 with the immigrants coming through the southern border that might actually happen because that Title 42 is set to expire by May the 11th, 2023, given the date of this live stream. Okay. Men buying their time. Okay. So more government subsidies, yes, more government subsidies shall develop as long as we have certain people in office, even for these new migrants that are coming over. So no, government stuff is not going to happen. It's going to probably, yeah, government spending for welfare and all that stuff, that's not going to stop. It might be allocated elsewhere, but it's not going to stop, right? So there will still need to be a class of working men that are beyond that, because government ain't gonna help a working man. Never has helped the man in the first place, but let alone a working man. They see how much you make, there's a certain threshold, and they feel like, oh, you make too much. Even though you might be fluctuating at your job, you might even be laid off, but you only get so much in unemployment. You still have to make it as a man out here. They don't have no subsidies for men. Men are done. If you don't keep your job, if you don't do this or that, you done. You can't count on even the women in your life to have your back like that, because that's taboo, right? Even though we see like bad boys get whatever they want with a gal, he don't have to do nothing besides probably come over and slang some hot iron for her, if you will. But working man got to actually make the iron. He has to forge it. He has to forge everything in this life, it seems. Y'all see the thumbnail of the man that's in a, I don't know, some type of a forgery factory. Like, it's a hot place. It's where you burn metals and you forge and bond metals together. You're making new types of material, whether it's stainless steel or alloys or aluminum, copper. You burning all this, you're in the midst of this heat. You're welding things together. Sweat on your brow. You could get burnt. You can be severely injured. You know, there's no rest. You get up as a man, you have to get out there with that in mind. You don't need no stress getting back at home from anybody. I don't care who it is. They don't see that you're out there working. There might be a chance you might not even come back home from your job. If they don't appreciate you when you get back home, sir, they shouldn't be a part of your life. It's that simple. But working men will survive, because working men will continue to do what it takes to survive in this world, even amongst people that don't appreciate him when he get home, even those people that don't appreciate him over the phone. A working man will survive. Fellas, if you are this type of working man, blue collar type of guy, work on developing a better experience at home. Work on developing a better experience over the phone. Or, you could just do without the phone. I mean, you can't really do without the home. You could do without the phone though, if you need to. But yeah, in this day and age, doing without a home, that's going to sometimes be a problem too, because, a lot of times they don't like people to kind of have their own sovereignty, whether through just having an RV or you have a piece of land out here that one day will be bought up by a big corporation one day. Like, ah, geez. But nevertheless, I'm just saying, not to digress, like just develop more peace. You're going to need to as you continue to survive. Uh, not really just even survive, but even eventually thriving. But thriving, I just say that humbly speaking, because it seems like whenever you start to really shine because of your grind, some people want to try to put your lights out in many ways. Like, so you got to be so humble out here, even as a phoenix, as you see on the screen before you, coming out these ashes, shining. You know, somebody don't even want you to be a phoenix out here. You ain't trying to hurt nobody. You ain't trying to harm nobody. You're just trying to live. You want to live, to the best of your ability in this life, not just necessarily live your best life. People don't have to be around you if they don't like you. Like I just don't understand like how some people can still be around you and they don't even like you. If the man's a working man, he don't make enough money for you, sweetie, then why are you talking to him? He's a working man, though. He shall survive. Keep that in mind versus the so-called high value man that will not survive if he lost his fortune. See, a working man knows how to make his portion. He don't care about a fortune. His portions can even make a fortune for him if he chooses to go down that road or avenue. You know what? Actually a lot of blue collar working men that don't seek the fortune. They just want their portion. They don't care to have the mega mansion. They just want a certain expansion upon what they already have of their home that they currently have, which probably just a modest 50, 70,000, $120,000 home, and just add an extension to it. Maybe he has a hobby of where he has a big RV. Yeah, I just spoke on RVs, but maybe he has a boat. He just wanted to build a garage for the boat. Maybe he was able to get a little more of property from the next door neighbor who just moved out and he bought the house from them. I don't know, let's say in some wacky world, not to say it's wacky what this guy is doing nor tacky, either what buys that house, joins that house to his house. That could be one thing, right? But he could knock that house down just to have more land around him. See, there's that too. I mean, it's just one of these things that some men are willing to do versus like he doesn't have to live that lavish life. He's just happy with what he has now. A lot of guys that work a certain way, believe it or not, it's not that they couldn't get more in life. They were happy with where they are. Does that make them in the matrix? No, maybe he's just content like that. There's a lot of people who got a lot of money and they're in the matrix in their way of thinking. For him, he's just happy having his means of, my bills are paid, my credit is decent. I got this roof over my head. I'm good with my retirement. My pension is okay because I worked for that. I finally got all of this. What they call that? Geez, don't tell me, y'all. Don't tell me. No 401k. Yeah, 401k. Depending on what type of job that he has, he's got this all together now. All right, even if you don't have, let's say, your 401k, your pension, your retirement, but you're at least working towards that. And you're just happy to get to the point where you finally got a stable roof over your head, to where you finally starting to get your credit together, to where you finally starting to pay off all those loans and debts that you have. That is peace in itself, right? You know, you might not be able to owe anybody a certain relationship, but you definitely no longer owe a debt collector, right? Like you don't have to owe your family any explanations or apologies, especially if they weren't trying to listen to you. But you definitely don't owe a debt collector, right? So you got some guys that were the blue collar who are great with that. And guess what? Some of those blue collars were probably former white collars. Some of these guys were former gold collars. No one talks about the gold collar. What is the gold collar, Ray? Because yeah, this is still Ray. Ray. I host Scorch Earth Incorporated. Sometimes I do have guests But yeah, you ask, Ray, what is a gold collar? Or even what is a diamond collar if there's a such thing? Well, you get into those type of upper echelons of different collar types. Gold collar, diamond, the gold collar, the diamond collar, those are just more of your royal type of people, the royal people. I mean, you see these royal people, they have gold on their collar, do they not? So, hey, you go from blue collar to white collar to gold collar, possibly diamond collar. Because you look in other parts of the world, like let's say in what a lot of the, I think like in Asia and stuff like that, like uh, they have diamonds on their collar, they have gold on their collar, and they have diamonds on their collar. I kid you not. So some people don't desire that. Some men just desire a dirty old blue collar. Sometimes it's a black collar, depending on how hard he's really working. But eventually, in order to survive, he's just trying to work on continuing to work smart and not hard. That's really the thing. I mean, that's really the thing. Working smart and not hard. That's how the working man will continue to survive. Whereas a lot of other people that aren't used to being working man, working class, they ain't gonna know how to survive because they don't know what it's like to work smart. They're used to working hard, but not hard in a physical way, right? So working smart, working smart is kind of like out of their way of thinking because see to them working smart goes against the way they've been working hard non-physically. So to them, if you try to work smart in the white collar world, to them that usually means like you just have a better idea. A lot of people in the corporate America don't like someone that comes to them with a better idea, right? uh, or just people in management positions of a blue collar job because the management position in a blue collar job is a white collar position, right? So you see that they would hate for a blue collar to come up to the white collar with a better idea, which could even advance the blue collar over the white collar, make the guy probably have a baby blue collar, popping the collar, right? I think the rapper E40 was famous for that statement of popping the collar, right? So, but working men will survive. Uh, Working men will bring the sexy back, if you will, but men's way of being sexy is like a little different. Like it's not really based on just like this, oh, he's cute. Like he's out there working, sweet. He's out there sweating. He's out there getting dirty, but he's out there making sure that you're taken care of. If you have been reciprocal to him, if you haven't been reciprocal to him, he's going to see you not in that same light as I've heard somebody tell me before. If you're not reciprocal, you're like a receptacle, like a garbage receptacle. So um, you're either trash or you treasure. And so a man has a pleasure in the treasures, you know. And if there was a treasure that was in the trash, that was something that he didn't see shouldn't be there, right? So sometimes some things get restored, but mainly you just have to be something that in his hands can be made for him in his life. Like that's what a man works hard for, as far as that aspect of working hard. Working smart for that, that's just him finding ways to be healthier with his work. Okay. That's him being healthier with this work. So he can live and continue to live in order for you to live with him. Like, meaning he can have longevity on this planet. He can still have a very long and healthy life, not end up working to death like they do in Japan. They actually have a phrase for that. Let me see if I can look that up right quick, right? That'd be probably the last thing I could end on before I shut this live stream down. Let me see something here. Let me see. But yeah, I hope everyone has had a good one so far. Trying to get back more into getting more of these live streams out the way here, just with talking more on a lot of things that I believe are important in these times because, yeah, we hear a lot of relationship content out there, and I talk about that too on other platforms, but people can't understand the relationships if they don't even understand the fundamentals. The fundamental to a lot of these relationships is what? Working together. And nothing like a woman working with a working man or a man that's working. You know how he is, you know how he operates. So you just cooperate. Keep that in mind. But like I said, with this idea of working to death in Japanese, it's called karoshi, or death from overwork. It's been a recognizable social problem in Japan since the 1970s. Okay. But overall, worldwide, work related deaths and disabilities, mainly people getting injured on the job, all this has risen worldwide over the decades since the 1970s. So we're living in a world now where, see, back in the days, because of these things, because of the pearls of certain jobs, a lot of the women, and some women do get this, real women, not the typical females. Some of them still get it. They still see the importance of being there for him, not putting him through no heartache if she actually loves him. Okay. And she knows that he loves her. She's not going to put him through heartache. She's going to make sure that he got his lunch. She's going to make sure that he get a good night's rest. She's going to be very intimate with him every day. Okay. As much as she can be. Life comes up, things happen, challenges happen, but you know what, baby? I still love you. You're out there working hard, and I know you want to make sure I'm taken care of, and I appreciate that. So this the least I can do for you is to try to be the best woman I can be for you. Okay. And he's trying to find a way to to build on that, but also not to work too hard or find better ways of working so he can still be around, right? But like I said, working men will still be around even in the future. They will survive amongst the scorched earth, even as things fall around amongst us, because there still needs to be the snack for a man's hands. There still needs to be the snack for that. Okay. It was built by a man. And to be honest, a real woman is built by a man. A woman is built by a man. No one wants to talk about that though. Being rebuilt, that's something else. But a real woman is built by a man. Like working men will survive. So that building aspect of how she's built by a man, a working man understands the way a real woman should be built. Now, it goes back to that statement of it's easy to build a child than to repair an adult. Now, I don't want to deviate too much, but I'd say this: a girl that just thinks she knows it all, she's too grown in her mind, no matter how old she is. She's not childlike. Yeah, she's not childlike. She has no more youth in her. Not youth doesn't necessarily mean young, it just means vibrant. She doesn't have that in her. Yeah, you can't build or rebuild her. Don't even try, fellas. Okay. You work too hard as it is, especially in regards to what they talk about being a provider. As I've said on many platforms before, don't be any gal's provider. Okay. It's not about providing, it's about a man sharing what he's worked hard for. Okay. And you only share that with those that appreciate you and that reciprocate to you, whether it's good days or bad days. When you talk about really trying to stand out through the test of time and stuff like that, that means good days and bad days. Okay. That you've been there for him. And so what this does is he's going to make sure that he shares what he's worked hard for with that particular type of woman. That's the woman that he showers. That's the woman that he loves. That's the woman that he always makes sure is taken care of, even down to his last dime. Okay. Keep that in mind. But but yeah, fellas, you work too hard. You work too hard. Not to deviate too much. Um, just gets back to, like I said, depending on the job, how dangerous it was, the pearls of it back then. There was more of appreciation that the children had for their father, that the mother made sure the children had for their father. because they knew their father was out there working a dangerous job, or a job that was hard on his body, hard on his mind, in his heart, in his soul. And that when he gets home, make sure that daddy gets a hug. Make sure that daddy gets love when he walks in that door, even if daddy's a little dirty. Daddy, yay, then wife comes up, gives daddy a key, excuse me, wife comes up, gives daddy a kiss on his dirty cheek, on his face. Hey, get your head out the hole, okay? When I say cheek. But I'm saying, just gives him a peck, like, I was so glad to see you. Now I can understand for all the truckers out there. I understand how hard that is, and y'all have to work really hard. I can relate to a certain extent because I've done a lot of traveling for my occupation. And it can be waning when you're gone for a long time. And the way a lot of the economy has become, it seems like you have to be gone for a long time in order to make ends meet. Even nowadays, I don't care, even if you're 9 to 5, working 40 hours a week, okay? 40 hours a week. That's a lot of time you're gone from your family, 40 hours a week, 8 hours a day, okay? 8 hours a day within a 24-hour period, okay? Eight times one is eight. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 3 is 24. So a third of your time gone. That's a lot of time gone. They say actually on studies that um, we shouldn't really be working at a job no more than 4 hours a day. Working men will survive because they'll find a way to work smart and probably find a way to only work 4 hours a day and still make enough for the roof over his head, clothes on his back, food in his mouth, maybe a little bit of land to have a little bit of livestock on, things like that, right? Make sure his family's taken care of by just working 4 hours a day. Maybe he'll find a way to do that and still work. Working men will survive. They will find better ways of working steel with their hands, working steel and aluminum with their hands. Even though, they try to have AI take over, but AI has its flaws. And even now they're trying to push back on the importance and relevance of AI. AI should be assistance controlled by human hands. It shouldn't be an autonomous entity, in my opinion, because it will one day develop thought, or you'll have a mad scientist who decides to put a brain inside of that machine. But yes, working men will survive despite the AI. Okay, keep that in mind too. But until next time, just remember that this world, let them play games. This is not your chessboard. You just move through it, move through the flames. Don't give in to the game. Don't play the game. Over and out.